got a bunch of members here from the Brooklyn Brewing team. So you guys, wave. Woo! Yeah. So beers. The beers don't happen. Don't happen by one person by any means. And some of them would tell you that that they happen sometimes more than half without me, at least physically. So these guys are. We got a great team. It's growing really quickly. And things are going pretty amazingly over the last 18 months. We've had just amazing growth. This beer is something where we were really reaching back towards a number of things that we have done in the past, and really trying to create. Tom, you're hiding back there. Tom runs the lab. Which is important. That guy right there. And reaching back to some stuff we've done in the past, and really looking to create a new flavor out of it. So we were just talking about the whole thing where a lot of summer beers, including ours, summer ale comes out pretty damn early. I mean, it kind of has to. That's the way that things go. But having created our summer ale, what else would be a nice beer for summer that could also kind of bridge into the early fall? Now, many of you haven't had our Belgian-style wheat beer from Brooklyn. We used to produce it on a regular basis in the summer years ago. We kind of then had our Weiss beer next to the Blanche, and it was like 2 wheat beers on draft all the time. It was a bit much. But it was actually one of our most award-winning beers. Gold medal at World Beer Cup, Great American Beer Festival, etc. In a style that we really love. And then there's some DNA here, so to speak, from the Weiss project that we did with Schneider some years ago, where we created a strong Weiss beer, heavily hopped and heavily dry hopped, and that's probably the best known of our collaborations. And it's funny because some people think that that's where we started doing collaborations, but we actually started in the mid to late 90s, and we were the first brewery in the United States to do them by a long shot. We did a bunch before anybody else did them. And so we're really bringing forward a whole field of over 100 beers we've created over the years and saying, what else might we like to do? There's a little bit of DNA in here from Manhattan Project as well. Some of you may remember the beer we made several years ago that had various peels in it, and also gentian root, etc., to bring a different kind of bitterness to a beer which is supposed to taste like Manhattan. So the general idea for this, if I can just kind of put it in your head, is, and this is not going to be really in English, but it's kind of like an idea of a wit beer variant. A large amount of unmalted wheat, which gives you a different flavor than malted wheat, and a different kind of acidity on the palate, together with an IPA-like level of hop bitterness, but also the overall idea of wit beer, which is orange peel generally, and coriander. Now, if you get coriander in the United States, you go to a place, you buy coriander, it's almost always Mexican coriander, which is perfectly good, but it's very earthy. It has a different character than what we're using, which is Indian coriander, which has an almost bright, fruity kind of character to it, quite different. So there's a terroir in spices when it comes to that. Lime peel, which is an ingredient we haven't used before, is actually very bitter, which is one reason why it's used only in certain ways in cocktails. And you've seen orange bitters, you've seen various bitters that contain different peels. Well, they have bitter elements. So one reason why the bitterness of this beer is really different than the bitterness of a lot of beers you've had before is because it's a combination of hop bitterness and a combination of lime peel bitterness. And it has this hard, clean edge to it. And I know that I shouldn't say this in front of a bunch of people who are, to some extent, or generally journalists, however you are, but there is a character to that bitterness that I referred earlier to being like mouthwash, but in a good way. What I mean by that is that if you've had one of these already, feel your palate and how absolutely just fresh and clean, it kind of is. There's a clipped quality that the lime peel gives to the bitterness, which makes the beer refreshing. It gives it a little bit of that cocktail-like edge to it. If you like, say, old fashions, and you like the character of bitters, I think that you will pick up right up to an edge where you're like, already then. But I think that I don't know. When I start drinking it, it's kind of like eating some really hot food, where at first you're like, okay, wow, and then 5-10 minutes later you're like, yeah, you know, and you kind of get into that groove of where it is. So we like our beers to be unique, you know, when we're doing something new. And I like to think that I haven't had a beer that tastes really like this. So I'm loving it right now. So there you go. We're gonna go across the street and have, you know, our little release party, but you know, this is the first time we've kind of done a thing like this, and I was just saying that we appear to be in the very perfect place to be today at the perfect time. Yeah, I don't think there's any place else that you want to be in New York City right now. It's pretty awesome. So definitely thanks to you know, thanks to the house here. It's great to have them as neighbors. Been eating their good food for a very long time, and you know, it's great to be up. Cheers. All right. Yo, that means shut up now. All right, thanks for coming, guys. Cheers, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
You know, my name is Garrett Oliver. I'm the brewmaster here at Brooklyn Brewery. I want to welcome you here to another one of our fun release parties for the Brewmaster Reserve programs and the latest of our beers called Fiat Lux. I'm going to be briefer than usual. I try to be brief when I do this. I'm going to be even briefer still today. When we came up with this beer, we were thinking about a number of things. We were thinking about summertime and what it means to us, what it means particularly in the city. But whenever we make these beers, we want them to be a little bit different. We want them to be a little bit challenging. We don't want them to be the stuff that we make or anybody else makes every day. And you know, this beer has a number of things going on, you know, in its genesis. A little bit of the Belgian wheat beer style, made from 30% raw wheat, which gives you a different character than malted wheat, gives you a lightness on the palate, a little bit of acidity. The whole overall idea of that beer style, which some of you will know, is traditionally made with curacao, orange peel, and coriander. In this case, we're using Indian coriander, which is different than the coriander you usually get, which is Mexican coriander. Brighter, fruitier sort of character. And then the kind of curveball coming into the situation, lime peel, which gives you not only flavor and aroma, but also some bitterness. So some of you out there who are cocktail guys know about orange bitters, lime bitters, etc. But lime has a lot of bitterness to it as well, which is, if you're wondering why the bitterness of this beer is really so much different than you might have tasted before, it's because it's a combination of hop bitterness and lime peel bitterness. So all these things kind of coming together in a dry beer that at first you kind of say, oh, that's a little bit shocking. And then you got to get out in the middle of it and you hit the groove and you're like, I'm going to have 4 of these. And you know, that's kind of what summer is about. You know, we don't want things to be boring or, you know, or low key or interesting. But I'm a cocktail geek, so getting a little bit of that kind of bitterness in here is fun. Now we got a new thing, which is why I'm standing in front of this screen. Our friends from Transient Pictures, give it up for Transient Pictures, for you will have put together a small clip about this beer. So the first film ever, it's only about 90 seconds long, so some of you have that attention span. I think we're going to do our best. And in 60 seconds, you know, hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, Transient Pictures version of Fiat Lux.
Hi, I'm Garrett Oliver. I'm the brewmaster at Brooklyn Brewery. Now, Brewmaster Reserves are all draft-only beers. It's supposed to be around for a short period of time and then vanish into thin air. So I guess this beer better be good. I named the beer Fiat Lux, and that means let there be light. Okay, I can't create light out of my fingertips, though on a good day I kind of feel like I can. In this case, it means let there be beaches, let there be barbecues, let us lay our blankets out on the grass in Prospect Park. So it's all about what kind of beer I might like to drink if I'm sitting out in the sunshine. Something bright, something really dry, something bitter, thirst-quenching, and there's something life-affirming about hops. Can a brewer really wave his hands and go, Shazam, Fiat Lux, let there be light? Yeah, actually, I think we kind of can. We're using Madsen White Winter Wheat. It gives you this nice zing of acidity and lightness on the palate, blended together with lime peel, with bright Indian coriander. We're adding our hops 3 separate times, giving out this grassy, bright flavor. And all together, I think they create a really beautiful impression of summer. It's all about wheat flavor, barley flavor, bitterness, and bright citrusy character and a little bit of spice. That's Fiat Lux.